Welcome to the Keep Dreaming podcast, the show where adversity meets purpose and purpose gives birth to your destiny, but more importantly, your dreams. I'm your host, Charleston Girley, so grab your coffee and let's dive in. Top of the morning, top of the morning. My name is Charleston Girley, and I want to welcome my viewers, my listeners to the Keep Dreaming podcast. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am an avid coffee drinker, hence is why you see me with my coffee mug and my coffee on today. And so today I'm sipping on a caramel truffle blend by a company called Private Selection. And so for me, I like to start each morning with coffee. I feel like it grounds me, and I plan to implement the same when we're having our conversations on this here podcast because I feel like this sets the tone for real conversations that I pray inspires and uplifts each and every one of you on today. So I feel like it's nothing better than a cup of coffee. But as we begin to open up this episode, my question to you is that have you ever been told to follow your dreams? What does that even mean? I remember when I was in elementary school and I would hear this question often where teachers, mentors, people in the community, they would say, follow your dreams. And I used to ponder, what does that mean? How do I follow my dreams? And the reason why I used to ponder that question is because for me, out of my lenses, I never really understood that because I never really truly felt like I saw other people following their dreams. I felt like I saw other people working jobs, doing maybe various careers, but I never really knew what it really meant to follow their dreams. And so that's why I wanted to create this podcast because I want to give viewers, listeners, a roadmap on how to accomplish the dreams in your life. You see, fortunately for me, God has blessed me in a tremendous amount of different ways to be able to accomplish the various dreams that I set out to in my career throughout my life. And I believe the greatest gift that you can ever give to God is to be able to pour back into his people after you receive the blessings, after you've gone through the experiences and you've gained the wisdom in order to be able to help his people. And so that's exactly why I created this podcast. This is exactly what I want to orchestrate and guide us through for those that are listening and viewing to be able to make your dreams become a reality. You see, we've only been guaranteed one life. One life. Now, I believe I'm a Christian that there is heaven beyond this life. But for the now, for the right now, we have this one. And I truly believe that you owe it to yourself and you owe it to God to be able to accomplish your wildest dreams. And so, who am I? Again, my name is Charleston Girley. I'm an author, speaker, entrepreneur, finance professional. But probably the greatest title that I love to identify myself with is that I'm a dreamer. I'm an avid dreamer, and I believe that the adversity in your life can unlock your purpose, inevitably your dreams. And so that's why I created this podcast because I want to be able to inspire and equip dreamers like yourself to not only keep pushing, but that no matter what you face, there's glory on the other side of that adversity. And so I truly believe that one of the greatest gifts that God has given us in this life are our dreams. You see, dreams are like small glimpses from God showing us what's possible in this life and making our lives even more worth chasing. So sometimes that dream, it's like a roadmap. It's like a roadmap guiding you to your ultimate fulfillment, ultimate purpose in this one life. And so for me, I believe that heaven on earth is you being able to accomplish and fulfill the dreams that lie within your heart. So now, as we take a step back, in order for us to understand how to even accomplish our dreams, I think we first need to understand what are dreams. Are we talking about the dreams that you have at night? Not necessarily. Those are dreams, but the dreams that I'm talking about are the dreams that you experience during the daytime when your eyes are awake, the imaginations, the visions, those dreams, the dreams that you have about that dream job or that dream business, the dream family dynamic, the dream amount of money, freedom. I believe that on the other side of making your dreams come true, there's freedom. And so those are the dreams that we are talking about, the dreams that seem impossible, the dreams that scare people, the dreams that make people doubt you. Those are the dreams that I'm cultivating and I'm wanting us to really hone in on. And so when we take a step back and we understand that those are the dreams that we are talking about, how does this relate to our life? How do we make this happen? And so I believe that we first have to lay the foundation. You see, there's a foundation to everything that we have in this life. Everything needs to be sown into the ground and then it starts to grow. Then it starts to birth into existence. And so the foundation that I want to set for us It's coming out of the Bible, and it's Psalm 37:4, where it says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." If we're living in a world created by God, what better way to make the dreams that He's given us possible by sowing into God, sowing into His foundation in the first place? And so, as we look at that scripture where it says, "Delight yourself in the Lord," I think we first need to understand, what does it even mean to delight in the Lord? And so, as in my study, I was doing some research, and what I found is that in order to delight yourself in the Lord, you got to chase after God. But to take it a step further, we have this thing called needs, where we know in this life we need air and we know we need water. But I will argue that right now, as you're driving in your car, as you're sitting at your desk, wherever you're doing, and you're listening to this podcast, you're not necessarily telling yourself, man, I need this amount of air today to survive, or I need to consume this amount of water in order for me to make my dreams come true. Rather, I will argue that needs are a bipartisan of your everyday life. You know that you need it, but you don't actively think about it. You don't actively pursue it. Rather, it's the wants that you actively pursue, the things that you actively chase after. And so we know that we need God and we need him every day in our life, but it's not just good enough to need him. I believe the switch in order to be able to desire God or delight yourself in the Lord is that you got to want him. You got to want him. You got to want his will. You got to want his way. You got to want him every day in your life. Now, when we make that step and we grow into wanting God, then we understand the beauty of the back end of the scripture where it says, He, not you, not society, not your friends, not family, but He will give you the desires, the dreams of your heart. And so when we lay that foundation, we understand that in order to even get on the path that is directing us towards our dreams, directing us towards our desires, we first got to delight ourselves in God and we got to want Him. We got to want Him more than we want anything in this world. We got to want Him more than the dreams. We got to want Him more than the desires. And so for me, that's not necessarily how my story started. Sometimes you got to go around the block in order to understand the true recipe. And so I didn't start out with my dreams by chasing God. And that is why, again, I want to start with episode 1 to give a background so that I can give you all that experience, give you all that wisdom so you won't make the same mistakes that I did. But when I dial it back and I go back to my childhood, my very first dream, you see, I've always been a dreamer, even when I was little, but my very first dream, I just wanted to make it out. I wanted to make it out. I wanted to make it out my hood. I wanted to make it out my neighborhood. I never wanted to be a product of my environment. And so my environment, I grew up in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And for me, it just wasn't a lot of resources. Nothing against the city or anything like that. I love the city. I grew up on the north side of Pine Bluff, what we consider the backwoods. And so that's my birthplace. That's what I represent. But there was not a lot of resources. There was not a lot of opportunities. And so for me, out of the lenses that I had, I knew that there was greater that I wanted for my life. I knew that there was more that I wanted for my life. And I knew that this place, this environment that I was in was not enough. It was not going to suffice where I wanted to go. And so the very first dream that I had was that I wanted to make it out. Now, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that consisted of. I just knew that there was a desire within me, a desire in my heart that I wanted out. And so I started to play out these different scenarios of how I can make it out. Was it through gang activity? Was it through having a job? Was it through having a business? And so I settled in on sports. Now, I'm not saying that that's everybody's pathway, that's everybody's avenue, but for me, sharing and being vulnerable about myself, I was good in sports. And so I looked at sports as my way out. And so in my junior year in high school, I made a decision that ultimately I wanted to play Division I football and I wanted to play on ESPN. That was the big dream in my vicinity at that time. And the reason is because I knew that that was my way out. There was no Division I schools in Pine Bluff. So if I could make it out to a Division I, now I'm on a path being able to, broaden my horizon. And I wanted to play on ESPN because I wanted the people in my hood to be able to see me and see that I made it out. I wanted them to believe enough in my journey, believe enough in my path to know that they too, if they chose, could do the same thing. I wanted to be an example. Hence, I almost wanted to be a celebrity where people could look up to me, kids could look up to me and say, man, I know where he came from. I know what he did, and he made it out. If he can make it out, anybody can. And so that's what I felt. That's what I believed in. And that was my ultimate dream. But every dream that you have is going to come with adversity. It's going to come through trials, tribulations, and then it starts to matter how deep is the dream? How far are you willing to go to make that dream a reality? You see, my very first dream of making it out and making it to Division One, it did not come without any adversity. It came with tons of adversity, so much that I even thought about giving up. And so my junior year in high school had the best season of my life. I recorded 106 tackles. I was number two for the most tackles in the state of Arkansas my junior year. Going into my senior year, I started to accumulate looks from Division One schools such as Tulsa, Louisiana Monroe. And so I started to sense that the dream was slowly coming into reality, that I was pulling it into existence. But the thing about dreams is that through this journey, you can sense the dream, but then you can make a decision that pushes it further away. And so I ended up making an ill-advised decision. So I'm going into my senior year, and it's the third game of the season. The third game. Now, up until this point, one of the things that I struggled with controlling my emotions. I had a hard time controlling my emotions. And so it's the third game of the season, and I get into an altercation in the game. A guy pushed me in the back. I couldn't let it go. My pride wouldn't let it go. My ego wouldn't let it go. And so I ended up retaliating, ended up getting into a fight, and I ended up getting suspended for that game. Not only did I get suspended for that game, but I got suspended for the next three games. So that dream that I thought that I was pulling into reality, that dream that I thought that I was about to make happen, it immediately went away. And so all the people that were looking at me, all the scholarships that I was potentially about to get, they vanished. And so now I found myself in a predicament because again, I knew I wanted out of my environment. So what do you do when your back is against the wall? What do you do when the odds aren't in your favor? What do you do when you are the one that messed up your dream? Well, number one, I had to take accountability. I had to take accountability for my actions, not anybody else's, but for what I did. But then after I took accountability, I had to bust my butt. You can't stay in the hole. If you find yourself in the hole, if you find yourself in the pit, you can't stay there. You got to find a way to climb out. And so thankfully, God blessed me with a phenomenal mentor, a phenomenal coach, Coach Pritchard. I thank that man to this day, but we grinded every single day. And that off season, he took me through strenuous workouts and I busted my butt all summer. And so then I ended up making another decision. And so what I decided to do, I decided to walk on. Now, this is a completely different path. And sometimes God will take you the long way to teach you a lesson. But I decided to walk on. And for those of you who don't know what it means to walk on, it means you basically try out for a football team. Now, this is definitely a fall from grace because I was in a position to receive a scholarship, all school paid. But because of an ill-advised decision that I made, I now not only had to pay for school, but I had to try out. But I knew that my dream mattered and I wasn't willing to give up on it. And so in the state of Arkansas, there are two Division One schools. You have the University of Arkansas and you have Arkansas State University in Jonesboro. I knew that the University of Arkansas was 4 hours away. Arkansas State was 2 hours away, and I was still very close knit to my family. So I chose Arkansas State so I could be closer to home. Now, this is where adversity starts to hit again. Me and my family were very close knit. And so I was the first in my family to break away and leave out of Pine Bluff. Now, I can't say that that decision went over well with my family. But the thing about your dreams is that you got to be willing to stand on it, regardless who is in the way, regardless who may have an outside opinion. And so in that moment, I didn't care what my family thought. I knew that I believed that much in my dream that I was willing to go and chase it, whether the people were there for me or not. Now, ultimately, my family supported whatever I decided to do. But when you are chasing your dream, you got to understand everybody may not see the vision, only you. So you got to be willing to stand on it and chase after it. And that's what I did. And so I came to Arkansas State in 2011, busted my butt, walked on to the football team, made the football team, and then the dream started to slowly come back. But I wasn't settled just being able to be on the team. I kept busting my butt. So much to the point that in year two, I ended up earning my scholarship. In year three, I ended up becoming a starter. And then the dream started to come into reality where I was able to play Division One and I was playing on ESPN. And God was so good that I even got nominated for the Burlsworth Trophy, which is a nationally recognized trophy for the top walk-ons in the nation. Now, I did not win that trophy, but even being nominated just goes to show you how much hard work, effort, God's will, God's promises mapped in with your dreams will accomplish a whole lot for your life. And so as we go through just this season, I'll share more and more about the different dreams that I had to come into reality. But that was one. And ultimately, I ended up winning 4 conference championships in 5 years. So talk about a big dream coming true. But dreaming is more than wishful thinking. It's about faith, discipline, persistence. And there's a motto, there's a slogan that I use, and it's called Keep Dreaming. And for me, the slogan is just a reminder that when setbacks come, because they do come, hence the ones that I shared just in the brief story that I gave, you don't stop. You can't stay there. You can't stay in the hole. You got to keep adapting. You got to keep growing, and you got to keep moving forward. There is no point in this life where adversity will not hit. But will we allow the adversity to take us out? Or will we allow the adversity to birth something in us that is greater than we could ever imagine? Again, being given one life, I can't settle. And neither should you. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to God, you owe it to your people to keep going no matter what it is and chase those big dreams. So here's what I want you to do. After this episode, I want you to get a journal, a notepad, whatever it is, and I want you to take 5 minutes to write down your biggest dreams. Don't filter it, don't shrink it, just write it down. Just write it on paper. Because number one, bringing it from the imagination world and putting it on paper is the very first step in bringing it into reality. Then underneath it, I want you to write one small step that you can take this week to work towards your dream. Because dreaming, it isn't just about thinking, it isn't just about pondering. You got to start to put some action into existence. And so that's the biggest thing when we're talking about our dreams. We got to put forth action. And so I thank y'all for tuning in for episode 1 of season 1 of the Keep Dreaming podcast. I would love to hear from you. So if you are on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, please be sure to go follow me at Charleston Girley. And you can DM me the word dream, and let's start to build a community of people who refuse to give up and desire their wildest dreams to come true. Always remember, setbacks are setups. Discipline beats motivation, and your dream is worth fighting for. So keep going, keep believing, and always, always, always keep dreaming. If you feel like this episode encouraged me or encouraged you, I want you to subscribe to my podcast, my YouTube channel at Charleston Girley, and I want you to leave a review. Go share it with a friend who's chasing a dream, and be sure to follow me on all social platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube at Charleston Girley. And if you want a deeper dive into some of my motivational speeches, you want to check out my book, The Black Accountant, please be sure to go to my website, www.charlestongirley.com. As always, keep believing, keep praying, keep dreaming. I'll see you guys next week.